begins in Tampa, Florida. Mickey takes a young man named Bobby Saint to an arms deal arranged by a broker called Otto, who speaks with an accent because he knows several languages. The deal quickly turns dangerous when the FBI suddenly raids the place. Startled and nervous, Otto draws his gun. The police return fire, killing everyone except Mickey, who panics when he sees Bobby's body. The bodies are later removed from the scene, but Otto suddenly stands up completely unharmed. Speaking in his normal voice, he reveals that he has always hated doing undercover work. Otto is then revealed to be Frank Castle, an FBI agent about to retire. This was his last case, and he felt upset about the young man's death. Later, the police identify the victim as Robert Saint, the son of crime lord Howard Saint. When the Saint family hears the news, the second son, Johnny, quickly arranges for Mickey to be released on bail. Mickey is taken to a club by the Saints and brutally beaten. He tries to explain to Quentin Glass that Robert Bobby Saint came to the deal willingly and that Otto, the man who arranged it, is already dead. Despite his explanation, Howard Saint remains furious. To show his anger, Howard kills another man who was responsible for protecting his son right in front of Mickey. Frank returns home to his loving wife, Maria, and their young son. He realizes he has been neglecting his family and making them move from place to place too often. He assures them that London will be their final move. Before that, they plan to attend a family reunion in Puerto Rico. Frank believes London will be a safe place where they can finally settle down together. Meanwhile, Howard Saint goes to confirm the identity of his son's body. When the police refuse to give him any information, he instructs his men to investigate Otto. With the resources at his disposal, Howard is determined to uncover everything about him. During his son's funeral, Quentin tells Howard that Otto was not who he claimed to be. His real name is Frank Castle. Howard orders his men to kill him, and his wife Livia insists that the entire family must die as well. Howard agrees, and their son Johnny joins the assassins on a trip to Puerto Rico. The assassins arrive just as Frank's family is enjoying a beach party. At that moment, Frank is inside with his father, looking at some guns, when they suddenly hear gunfire. The assassins open fire, and although Frank's group shoots back, they cannot save anyone. The attackers kill the entire family. Maria and her son manage to escape in a car, but the assassins soon catch up and run over.
Come on. Somebody help me! Run, honey!
Frank, delayed by a knife fight, arrives too late and finds only their lifeless bodies. The assassins return. And Johnny personally beats and shoots Frank. Quentin sets the place on fire, leaving Frank to die. However, the explosion throws Frank into the water, saving his life. Meanwhile, the assassins return to the Saints and Sinners Club to celebrate their revenge. Howard gives Livia a pair of diamond earrings to celebrate their success. Back at the shore, Candelaria, a friend of the Castle family, finds and rescues Frank. After recovering, Frank returns to his family's house. There, he takes the guns his father once showed him and the t-shirt with a skull that his son had given him. Filled with anger and a desire for revenge, Frank returns to America. He moves into a poor, run-down neighborhood and begins modifying his guns, his apartment, and his car. His unusual activities soon attract the attention of his neighbors Bumpo, who loves opera, Spacker Dave, who is covered in piercings, and Joan, a kind but weary woman. That night, Frank kidnaps Mickey and forces him to reveal information about the Saints. At first, Mickey refuses to talk, afraid of being killed if he betrays them. To make him confess, Frank pretends to torture him using an ice pop, causing Mickey to scream so loudly that it alarms the neighbors. Eventually, Mickey gives in and tells Frank that Howard Saint depends on two Cuban brothers who control all gambling and prostitution along the Gulf Coast. They collect the money and send it to Howard, who hides it in his banks in Grand Cayman. Frank then lets Mickey go. Realizing he was never actually harmed, Mickey openly shares more details about the Saints, admitting that he hates them. With information about the family's routine and their close friend, Quentin Glass, Frank begins to follow them and take photographs. He discovers Howard's golf schedule, Livia's regular movie nights, and Quentin's secret life. Later, the record of his family's death is erased. Frank then confronts his former colleagues in front of reporters, demanding to know why no one has been arrested for his family's murder. Frank realizes that the police are too afraid to confront the Saints, so he decides to take action himself. He sneaks into the Saints' bank building and forces the bankers at gunpoint to fill a suitcase with money. Then, he throws the remaining cash out the window, creating chaos as a crowd gathers below to grab the falling money. Frank confronts two of Howard's hitmen and kills them. He then escapes easily into the crowd. When the news spreads, Spacker and Bumpo look up Frank's background and become suspicious of him. Meanwhile, Howard grows furious and is warned by the Cuban brothers that if they lose any more money, they will change bankers. Howard demands assurance that his money will be safe. Meanwhile, in Frank's apartment building, a drunk man bangs on Joan's door, shouting to be let in. Bumpo and Spacker are frightened, but Frank steps in, punches the man several times, and drives him away. The neighbors thank Frank for protecting them, grateful that someone finally stood up for them. Frank begins his plan for revenge by breaking into Livia's car and using her phone to call Quentin. He warns Quentin to go to the Winton Hotel to retrieve some incriminating photos that Howard Saint would not want revealed. Frank then parks Livia's car illegally near the hotel, ensuring it gets a parking ticket. Meanwhile, Howard searches for Quentin but cannot find him until Mickey informs him that Quentin was seen at the Winton Hotel. Later, Frank sees Livia and Quentin talking and laughing together, which makes him uneasy. The next day, while eating at the cafe where Joan works, a man enters and begins playing a song for him. Harry Heck warns Frank that the song he played will be for his funeral. Realizing the threat, Frank quickly leaves the cafe. Later, while driving, he is ambushed by Harry, who tries to shoot him. However, Frank had reinforced his car windows with armor and manages to escape. A high-speed chase follows, ending in a crash when Frank swerves to avoid hitting a little girl. Harry catches up to him and prepares to kill him, but Frank fights back and stabs Harry to death with a knife. That night, Frank targets the Saints' next cash shipment. Johnny and several guards oversee the operation aboard a ship. During the transfer, Johnny discovers a bomb-marked front toward enemy. He jumps into the water just as the ship explodes, destroying all the money. From a nearby hill, Frank watches the flames as Johnny realizes who was behind it. Meanwhile, Howard becomes furious and starts throwing things around. The Cuban partners, equally angry, storm into his office. They argue heatedly. Howard insists that their partnership has been good, but reminds them that their business had no insurance, so he will not cover their losses. Before the brothers leave, he warns them that he has more guns, though it is only a bluff. Determined to use any method necessary, he orders Quentin to contact the Russian. At the same time, Spacker runs to Frank for help because the man chasing Joan has entered her apartment. At first, he closes the door, but a few seconds later, he changes his mind and walks to the apartment where Joan and Bumpo are preparing a meal. They invite him to join them, and after sharing what they are thankful for, they begin to eat. Later, Spacker and Bumpo leave to get dessert, and Joan advises Frank to create good memories instead of letting the bad ones control him. He tells her that he is not the person she is looking for and walks away. Seeing her upset, Spacker and Bumpo try to cheer her up by making dessert and dancing to opera music. Meanwhile, the loud music covers the sounds of a brutal fight between Frank and the Russian in Frank's apartment. The fight grows intense and spills into the neighbor's apartment, frightening Joan and the others. Frank eventually wins the fight after burning his opponent's face with boiling water and tackling him, though he is badly hurt in the process. His three neighbors try to treat his injuries. Meanwhile, Howard's men find the Russian's body and head upstairs. Joan and Frank hide in a secret underground room, while Spacker and Bumpo stay behind to face the intruders. Quentin interrogates the two neighbors and tortures Spacker by painfully removing all his piercings, but Spacker insists he doesn't know where Frank is.
Well, maybe we should get to know each other.
Eventually, Quentin believes him and leaves, assigning one of his men to stay behind and report if Frank returns. When Frank recovers, he kills the man and asks Spacker why he helped him. Spacker explains that they help because they are neighbors and like family. Bumpo takes him to the hospital, while Frank gets his weapons ready again. Joan is upset and questions how Frank is any different from the Saints. She then realizes that part of his plan is to die in battle. Once more, Frank breaks into Livia's car and sets the same trap for Quentin. Following Frank's orders, Mickey shows Howard the ticket found in Livia's car at the Winston Hotel. Howard remembers that Quentin was there too, which makes him suspicious. He decides to visit Quentin's home. While Quentin is away, Frank sneaks inside the house. Later, Howard arrives and finds an earring in Quentin's bed. When Quentin returns, Howard meets him on the stairs and startles him. As they move inside, Howard begins telling a story about betrayal while rearranging the furniture. He ends his story by throwing a knife onto the coffee table. Quentin insists that he never took any money from Howard, which makes Howard laugh and call him a good actor. When Quentin refuses to pick up the knife, Howard angrily slashes him with it, accusing Quentin of thinking he was a fool just because he had treated him like a brother. Howard kills Quentin by stabbing him. When Livia comes home, she finds Howard angrily throwing her belongings on the floor. He accuses her of being involved with Quentin. Then, she sees Quentin's body lying by the doorway. When Howard shows her the ticket from the Winston Hotel, she quickly claims that Quentin was gay, saying anything to protect herself. Howard refuses to believe her. He slaps her and drags her to the car. On the way, he thinks about their past and remembers that she once worked as a prostitute. He drives to a bridge, stops, and throws her over the side onto the train tracks, where she is quickly killed by a passing train. Afterward, Howard goes to his club and offers money to any of his men who can kill Frank. Alone in his office, Johnny asks about Quentin and Livia, but his father lies to him. Meanwhile, Frank prepares for battle outside. In a series of violent attacks, he kills Howard's guards, plants bombs on several cars, and sneaks into the club from an upper floor. When one of the men orders champagne, Frank hides a bomb inside the bucket being sent up. The bomb explodes, and Frank storms in, shooting anyone still alive. He finds Johnny trapped and injured, forcing him to hold onto a bomb before leaving.
Let's try it with an outstretched arm. Please?
Frank then confronts Howard and tells him he has killed both of his sons. Behind him, Johnny's screams echo from the building just before the bomb explodes. Frank shoots Howard and shows him photos proving Quentin's affair and Livia's missing earrings. He reveals that he made Howard kill his own best friend and wife. After that, Frank ties Howard's feet to the back of a car and drags him through the parking lot, triggering the bombs he had planted earlier. The fires form a skull shape as Howard slowly burns to death. Back home, Frank prepares to take his own life but stops when he remembers a blonde woman. Realizing he still has something to live for, he chooses a new path and leaves. Later, he meets Joan and admits she was right, good memories can save a life. After that, he leaves, saying he has a gift for all three of them. When Spacker returns from the hospital, they discover stacks of cash left for them. Later, Frank stands on a bridge with the setting sun behind him, vowing to punish all who hurt others, murderers, rapists, sadists, and psychopaths alike. Frank Castle is gone, and in his place stands the Punisher.